Standing up in McKinney, this is According to Callus. Bonus episode this week. Yes, this will be coming to you on May the 22nd, the year of our Lord 2025. It is episode 744. Inching towards that 750 episode mark. Now keep in mind those are numbered episodes. There's probably another 20 episodes without a number. Why am I doing this? Well, there's been a whole lot of stuff going on in the last couple of weeks. Mostly at, we'll call, say, federal or international levels, is something that I would generally not spend a lot of time on because I prefer to keep the podcast local, Texas and closer, if you will. But the things just can't go left unsaid. Let's put it that way. Okay? So bear with me for the special bonus episode of Things That Make You Think. Okay. Now, before we get in there, again, let me remind you, the biggest thing I ask from you, right? There's no money involved. A few minutes of your time. Like, share, subscribe, follow on your social medias and the podcatcher of your choice. You can find me on the Amazon. You can find me actually on Audible, right? You can find me on Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, Apple Play, Google Play, everywhere, right? And on the social media, I've got a page and a group over on Facebook. I drop in at MeWe. I'm a pro at Gab, and for now, you can still find the program at YouTube. And as for Rumble and all the rest, maybe someday I'll take the time to figure that out. But at this point, this is a passion project, which, quite frankly, I've had to scale back dramatically. But I'm still here. I'm going to still keep doing this. Once a week, you're going to get an episode, come heck or high water. And if I can throw in a bonus, here I am. So, okay. For those of you that haven't been paying attention, the Pope died. They've replaced the Pope. Why does this matter? Well, I'm a Protestant, and quite frankly, when I was born, I was christened into the Catholic Church, religion, however you want to phrase it. My parents left the church and joined Protestantism, if you will, non-denominational of the sort. I followed in that tradition. I don't hate the Catholics. I don't dismiss the Catholics. I don't dunk on them or the Orthodox Church. I think all of them are brothers and sisters in Christ. I do have some concerns, particularly about the last guy that was considered the vicar of Christ by the Catholic hierarchy. But the new guy, it's a guy from Chicago. I mean, in a quote-unquote American Pope, who would have thought? Now, granted, he did spend a lot of time in South America. I think it'd be fair to say he's probably far more of an internationalist than a Chicago guy. But from what I understand, he's a pretty laid-back, even-keeled, Midwesterner at heart. That could be a good thing. Now, without dunking on my Catholic brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, your last Pope, hopefully this guy can fix some of that. Hopefully he can turn things around. I got to say, and it's not just unique to the Catholic Church because we Protestants have plenty of problems. But if you want to drive away people from your church, and you start tossing out the things that have kind of held things together for, the better part of 2,000 years, it would seem to me that you would realize rather quick that that's just not a good idea. Yet, we Protestants lead the way on always reforming. I don't subscribe to that theory, by the way. So, fortunately, the Catholic Church is a little slower to do those kinds of things. That being said, new Pope, that's, I guess, the fourth time that's happened in my lifetime. I was around for John Paul II, Benedict, Frankie, the hippie pope, and now I guess this is Leo the 14th. So just an interesting aside. So we'll see what happens. For those eschatology folks out there, yeah, things are going to get real interesting, won't they? Okay, on to another item. Again, this is something that I don't know much about on purpose. So I'm going to approach this in the form of a question. We all know the state of Israel is in a really precarious position in the Middle East. But what I don't understand is, why would you poke your biggest ally for trying to cut a deal that might save your bacon? Don't get it. I also don't understand, at what point will they have vindicated or even the score, if you will, for October 7th's atrocity, right? I mean, when's it going to be enough? I think that's a fair question at this point. I mean, I would say the same about the Ukraine and Russia conflict, which, by the way, I was against us getting involved with. I was against anybody getting involved in prolonging that mess. But here we are. Now, Donald, whether you love him or hate him, wants to end both conflicts, and he's doing what he thinks is going to bring about an end. Some people don't think that the outcome is going to justify it stopping, but that still remains to be seen. I'm very uncomfortable with the whole process, right? Why would we be cheering on another war? It makes no sense to me, but yet here we are. All right, enough international stuff. I mean, we could talk about the fact that Europe's leaders seem to be devolving Europe into the Middle East or Africa at this point. I'm not sure how that's a win, but that's what they want to do. It's a question of whether or not their people are going to finally stand up, I guess. I mean, we did it once and succeeded. A second time, we didn't succeed. It's a question of when it's going to happen in the United States again. Good question. Keep in touch. While we're on the topic, our leaders, our dear leaders in D.C., is it just me, or are they completely disassociated from reality? We have federal judges more concerned about an illegal alien that was deported than thousands of people that were arrested and confined in our own country that were never convicted of anything and were abused by our own government. Those judges did nothing, yet they're bending over backwards and virtue signaling that we have to protect the rights of illegal aliens that, by the way, also appear to be criminals in their own countries where they came from before they fled here. So I don't get it. I don't get it. And while we're on it, it's not lost on me that Congress suspended habeas corpus through the NADA, right? The National Authorization Defense Act, or National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. So the Donald, just like his predecessors, is taking advantage of what Congress already did. So as much as I might not like the fact that they suspended habeas corpus, that's what we're dealing with. If you want it fixed, Congress has to do it. So don't get mad at Donald Trump for doing what he thinks he needs to do to protect the country, because far worse was done by his preceding presidents, right? The pretender-in-chief that we just got rid of, the Donald 1.0, and Barack Hussein, right? So, Obama. It's not lost on me, but here we are. All these pretend conflicts, these exaggerated problems that we have to, disavow the rights that are enshrined in our Constitution for U.S. citizens, but we bend over backwards to protect invaders, for lack of a better word. Now, yes, everybody should get their day in court. I agree. But if you don't belong here in the first place, why can't I just send you back to where you came from? I mean, that just seems to be the only rational, reasonable way to deal with this. Yet he's the bad guy. And we can't get SCOTUS to do much of anything because, well, who knows? I'd really like to know what they got on Judge Roberts and apparently Barrett, because they make some unusual opinions known. And yeah, so we're going to take a pause here, and I'm going to talk about a pet peeve. They always talk about how the justices vote. Well, the justices aren't supposed to vote. They're supposed to issue opinions and agree or disagree with the opinions. And they don't issue rulings, they issue opinions. And those opinions are only said to be effective or directed to a specific case before them. And it's only in this warped world that we live in, courtesy of John Marshall, that a specific opinion in a specific case apparently gets broadly put over the entire country. And then we have these district courts. We got a single judge that thinks he can overrule the president, overrule the Secretary of State, get involved in foreign affairs, which is clearly not within the sphere of what judges are supposed to do in the judicial branch. But here we are. The interesting thing is, I don't think Donald Trump is always right. I don't think Marco Rubio is always right. But that's Congress's job to get involved. That's Congress's job to question what they're doing. Not some judge. Certainly not a single district court judge. What world do we live in? I mean, I didn't sign up to become part of a judicial oligarchy, but here we are. And again, there's so many of these contradictions going on, it just doesn't seem to make sense. You know, we had a number of states that basically ignored drug laws and nothing happened. We had a number of states that have decided, well, we're just going to open the doors and let anybody come here and we're not going to do anything. We're not going to enforce the laws that exist because we just don't like them. And nothing happened. You get a couple of guys that say, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and say we're Second Amendment sanctuary cities. Oh, the panic. Or, oh, we're going to, do this to expand liberty. Oh, the panic. You can't do that. We must stop it. I mean, it's bad enough that we've got a judge talking about judges. We got a guy that's a sheriff in Smith County that thinks he's both a judge and can override the directives from the state government, including the governor, including directives from the federal government. Now, in certain instances, the sheriff is supposed to interpose himself if the sheriff's actually truly upholding the Constitution and upholding the law, but in fact, he's ignoring the law. He's disavowing his responsibilities and duties as a sworn peace officer by basically indicating that he's just going to go ahead and make Smith County a sanctuary county. I'm pretty sure the voters of Smith County aren't down with that, but guess what? He got reelected last year, and you're stuck with him for another 3.5 years out there, Smith County. One wonders where grassroots of America is at. Just wondering. Well, this is going on, right? This is federal stuff that affects local. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Austin. So we got our Republican lawmakers down there, ostensibly a plurality of conservative Republican lawmakers down there, and they've got a few things done, a few priorities done. Now, they killed all the rest. They chummed them out. They didn't want to give us any major wins unless you were one of the favored people. And we watch this play out time and time and time again. Yet we reelect the same people time and time again and expect that somehow it's going to be better this time. This time, for sure, my state rep's going to do the things that I need them to do. Now, I understand to a certain point you have to play the game, right? The moderates, the rhinos, whatever you want to call them, they know full well that if they give a bunch of stuff to the Democrats, they can be elected to positions of power. And then they can, quite frankly, dismiss all the conservative Republicans. They can even tell the not so conservative Republicans that just don't want to play ball go pound sand. We've got a majority and there's nothing you can do about it. And all the rest of the Republicans are forced to then play ball because they don't have any other choice or they'll be sitting on the sideline. So one wonders, why is this tolerated? Why does this continue to go on? Where is the cost to the people that do this to us time and time again? I mean, you got folks that fundraise for these people that seem to have buckets and buckets of money. Now, I don't want to, be Chicken Little and say the sky is falling. On the flip side, I don't want to be Pangloss and say this is the best of all possible worlds. Understanding that we're getting what we tolerate, understanding that this is the way the world works, understanding that the Texas legislature really doesn't care about us. It is, nothing new. It's something we all understand to a degree. But what I don't understand is you've got the governor who went all in on this school choice stuff. And by the way, in my opinion, we got a less than stellar bill that's going to be signed into law. And he went all in on it. Why doesn't he go all in on getting, the Republican priorities passed? Why doesn't he go all in on ensuring that, things that will actually protect Texas and make Texas better get done? I mean, look, I know that he is not any stalwart of Texian lineage, right? I know he isn't any hard charge fighting guy for really anything. I get it. We understand it. But Lieutenant Dan supposedly was. Lieutenant Dan was all about securing the border. And yet, here we are. Lieutenant Dan's got a lot of power and authority down there in Austin. You'd think he'd be doing more. He's going to deliver just enough to say he did a good job, and then blame the House for not doing enough, and then sail on to re-election. And of course, trying to primary him or the governor is a fool's errand. And then in November, every Republican's going to have to bite the bullet. And here we go again. The only hope is that these guys will get tired and they'll want to retire and enjoy the fruits of their, let's say, prowess. Now, there's a possibility that one goes before the other. There's also a possibility that, we've done our best. It's time to cash out. Not sure what that's going to look like. Being that this is I'm recording this on Tuesday, by the way. But being that this is a Tuesday, I feel at least somewhat motivated that I have to mention Texas and the Texas thing here. The legislators finished, and we've got the hard press so that we can, quote, vote on destination resorts, i.e. casinos. Now, they did the opposite and apparently are going to be doing something to defund the lottery. I'm not sure I'm on board with that, but, that's interesting. Kind of backfired their Texas destination resorts. But we still can't get them to take any action about putting it to a vote, right? So if you don't like Texas independence, you think it's a bad idea, okay, fine. You can vote on it. Or if you're not sure, if you see that there's problems, we could debate it. We could have that discussion. But nope, you can't have that either. So we got yet another legislative session where we're not going to get this done. Which leaves us with our only hope that the Republican SREC will find some stones and say, you know what? Whether or not we support this or not, the people ought to be able to vote on it. Whether we think this is what's best for Texas, we think that our voters ought to be heard on it. You put it on the primary ballot for March of 2026, and people get to say, yeah, we think that Texas ought to explore becoming an independent country again. Or, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to stay married to the United States. It's pretty simple. You don't have to play any games with the language. You don't have to tweak it. Just make it a simple, straight up, straight down. And once we know that, we know what we're dealing with. But again, we're not going to get that out of Austin. Austin has no interest in what the rest of the state wants. They have no interest in what we, the people, want, because, quite frankly, it appears that they're all bought and paid for by someone that's not us. We, the people, we have options. The problem is we don't exercise our options. The problem is it's expensive. It's taxing. It's difficult to run and get into office, and then to actually be able to do the thing that you said you were going to do. Well, we're on the topic of people doing the things they said they were going to do. So apparently, the senator from Oregon is in D.C. right now, going after somebody that's up for appointment. I don't even remember what he's going to be appointed to. But in any case, he said that he has a recording of this guy promising favors to people. So, I can't help but wonder, doesn't every elected official do the very same thing? Isn't the premise of running for office, you make a bunch of promises, most of which you have zero plan to actually deliver on? And quite frankly, we watch that play out everywhere, all the time. So, while it may be possibly unethical, maybe illegal, to say, yeah, if you'll support me, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, all these elected officials do it all the time. So a guy that's up for an appointment does the same thing. We want to, tank him for that? Are they more concerned or more upset that he made the promises, or perhaps that he might keep his promises? I mean, really, that's what it boils down to right now, right? And talking about keeping promises, didn't the former president promise to get us a cure for cancer? And, well, now, allegedly, he has one of those turbo cancers? I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't wish cancer on anybody. I've lost friends, family, 2 grandparents to cancer, and it's, not anything I'd wish on pretty much anybody. But here we are, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. Here we are. So maybe, just maybe, that's what really scares them about RFK Jr. Look, I don't, he's a progressive Democrat. He's all about this MAHA stuff, right? Make America healthy again. I wonder if they're more afraid of him than Donald. I mean, think about it. You're a drug company. You make billions of dollars out of treating ailments. But if you cure it, you don't make any money. I wonder if we're going to get an investigation into that. My overriding point of this episode is there's a whole lot of things that are going on that don't seem to make sense. They seem out of sorts. It's very much the same thing as do as I say, not as I do, right? And yet, we still go along with it. We the people, we spend so much time hating on each other and fighting with each other. We're not really the problem. I think if you were to go down to Austin and you would talk to those state reps, I mean, if you're right of center, you're going to probably find a few people down there that you're like, yeah, they're good, they're solid, I like them. And if you're left of center, you might find some Democrats that you can go say, hey, yeah, they're good, they're solid, they support our backs here. The more Machiavellian people, they're going to be generally happy as long as they get a little what they want, right? I mean, that's what politics is. It's the the art of the possible. But again, who exactly is benefiting? Who exactly is going to be seeing the positive side on this? I don't know. I don't know. And, you could spend all day going through the news and find the latest outrage or the latest crazy thing that's happened. But why? I mean, I'm torn. Do I spend any time looking at any media? Do I just try and ignore it all and live my life? Well, I mean, that would be ideal. That would be nice if it was doable. But going back to an earlier refrain that I've shared with you probably hundreds of times, you may not care about politics, but politics cares about you. If you're not paying attention, they're pulling something over on you. If you're not paying attention, they're going to make your life more difficult. If we could just put government back into its box, keep it out of our lives, I think we'd all be a lot happier. Absolutely. But we don't have that opportunity. We just don't. And it's especially bad when the very people that are supposedly in positions of power and authority that are supposed to be serving we the people don't think that the rules apply to them. They don't think that they should be held accountable for any of the things that they have done. And if you need me to explain that, don't. Just go watch the news for 5 minutes. Now, they're going to say most of it's all Donald Trump's fault. Okay, Donald Trump's not perfect. His appointments aren't perfect. All this predates him. All this has been going on for decades. You just have to take the time and effort to look and pay attention, and you'll see it plain as day. At the end of the day, two refrains. They don't care about us. And what is it from Network? I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Now, I'm not going to encourage you to go throw your windows out open and scream that at the top of your lungs. But I want you to think about it internally. Does this stuff make your stomach turn? Are you upset by the way that we're being disregarded? Hey, look, you don't have to be right of center to agree with me that this is going on, right? There's a whole lot of left of center folks that still live in Texas, and I would encourage you, feel free. Go to Oregon, go to Washington, California, New York, New Jersey, Vermont, Illinois. Yeah, it's not as cool as Texas, but you're going to be at home with your people. And I'm more than happy to stay out of your business over there. I just ask you to return the favor to us here in Texas. See how that works? It's a republic if you can keep it. The states were supposed to be able to make their own decisions and do what they thought was best for their state. Until a judge gets involved and thinks that they know better than everybody else. Funny how that works. Well, look, folks. This is your bonus episode. I got nothing more to say. I just want to encourage you. Pay attention. Even if it's for 10 minutes a day or 25 minutes a week. See what's going on. Look at it with objective eyes and think to yourself, would I get away with that? Would I be arrested if I did that? Would I be indicted if I did that? And if you doubt that, James Comey's still wandering around after he put on social media a direct threat to the President of the United States. So whether you hate the president or not, that is an offense that should have you arrested post-haste. There are rules, and then there are rules. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been According to Callus, and I will see you on the other side.
TexianPride.com is the destination for Texans who want to show off their love for Texas. We don't settle for mediocre. Our shirts are made from 100% high-quality athletic cotton. They're cool, comfortable, and designed to fit and flatter any body type. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Visit TexianPride.com for your next stylish Texas tee.